Hello, and in the words of my people, Mashiach come, the Messiah is risen. Today is Easter, and it will be Easter all week. We call this Hawarayin in Aramaic. It means bright week, more or less. That's what it gets called in English. So many things have happened since our last visit. I went to my first ever pipe show. It was the Muletown Pipe Show in Columbia, Tennessee. I had the best time ever. The feeling of camaraderie and of fraternity in that place was precious to me. Now, as you know, Parker gave me a big box full of good ancient tobaccos, and one of them, I have put its remains in this jar. This is amazing that there would be so much. It's executive mixture from those nice people who were formerly at the House of Edgeworth, and it is flavored with sweet birch. And I have since come to believe that the flavoring in the old briar is sweet birch also. Man, that's just amazing stuff. Well, I took that packet of tobacco with me, and my Dunhill 1978 collector ODA. It's a variant of a Rhodesian shape. A darned fine pipe. I took that with me to smoke and to show off a little. I mean, it is a Dunhill. And I took the packet of tobacco, and when I opened it, the aroma was just so wonderful. So I loaded my pipe up with it, and I took a taste or two. Oh, it was so good that I had to share it. And so, one by one by one by one by one, singulo singulare, as they say in Latin, one by one. It sounds almost like the name of an elven king under stone someplace. Singulo singulare. Singulo singulare is the better pronunciation, nevertheless. They took a bowl. How many bowls of that pipe tobacco did I pass out? I couldn't tell you. And it didn't occur to me until the other day when I was putting the remains, and there was more of it than this, because I've since smoked a bit more. I have to tell you, it was like a basket of loaves and fishes. It just wasn't running out. Was it a sign? Maybe. What was it a sign of? Those things that are shared are not diminished by their sharing. Well, speaking of sharing, also in that box, you'll remember it, of course, that Parker sent was a pipe. This beautiful, beautiful K-Woody. Oh, it's unmarked as a K-Woody. The grain, which, alas, because of my poor camera, you cannot see. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful grain. And inside, you see, it's never been smoked. Oh, I'm sure it's ancient. But it gleams. It gleams. I like those old words. Gleam and glisten. They're Anglo-Saxon, you know. Wonderful words. Well, since it is Pâsc, the older name for what later came to be called Easter, a good Anglo-Saxon word, which means the name of a month in which Easter usually falls, in which Pâsc usually falls. He also sent several tins of tobacco. Ancient tins, look at that. That's the humidor top. And the twist key for opening. Well, I haven't our friend's skill of the good Anglo-Saxon. Actually, that one's Norse. I haven't his skill for making a production of this. The production it deserves. I hardly have the eyesight to accomplish it. But I'm going to open this tin. Oh my. Special pipe offer inside. Someone had asked Parker, wouldn't it be fun to send off for one of those offers? Well, that led to some speculation about time travel, didn't it? Ah, here we go. Ah, that sound. The aroma is wafting into the air. Oh my, oh my, oh my. It's almost grapey, but not quite. Surely nothing like Captain Black's grape. And if it is like Captain Black's grape, well, I'm missing a treat not smoking that, aren't I? We've just almost got it open now. I had promised I was going to do this as my Easter treat. It was something to hold off from this. There's this little spring will end up much like mine. Ah, there it is. Little bits of tobacco sticking to the top of the tin. Oh, gosh. Well, this offer expired on December the 31st, 1967. I was 7 years old then. they probably wouldn't have sold me a pipe. I can take these off now. And if you'll forgive me, I'm going to remove this fez. There we are. There you can see how white my hair has turned. A shocking shock. And we'll just put some tobacco in there. And a bit more. Oh, maybe just a dribble more. And there we go. Do I hate to set fire to it? No, I don't. It's an adventure. Oh, this old Stanwell Zippo. Off we go. Well, Sir Walter doesn't taste like this anymore. More's the pity. But, you know, things change. I have. Oh, I used to be young and tall and slim. And all I've got left is part of the tall. Maybe buried somewhere I have some of that slim. I'm surprised I didn't see more of it after this Lent. It was a tough Lent, and I should have made it tougher. I'll light that again in just a moment. I could really do with just a sip of this delicious cream sherry. Just to wet the whistle. I had promised you also, he said, putting down his pipe, a little of my poetry. Now, those of you who don't care for such things will have to excuse me. Where have I put it? I've set it somewhere. Don't run away. Oh, well, I have set it somewhere. And it's not at hand, and I'm not going to get up and move around. My back is paining me fiercely. So I'm just going to smoke this, and we'll have just a bit more talk. And to be done. Oh, I've set it on my roll-top desk. Look, you will excuse me while I go get it, won't you? Probably my best poetry of the last 20 years has been paraliturgical, where I take some verses of Saint Ephraim the Syrian, or one of those saints, and I set them to English hymn meters. Well, occasionally, since I've learned to think in long meter and common meter and short meter doubled, I'll write some poems like that. Now, you'll have to excuse the subject matter as well. It's funny, once upon a time one would have apologized for writing some spicy love poetry that way, and now we have to apologize for writing a hymn or two. Well, that's my apology. And back to glasses we go. The pride of Adam's race art thou, the mother of our God and Lord. Blessed by us below art thou, above by heavenly hosts adored. What generation hath not heard of thy maternal love and care? O Mother of the living Word, be thou our help, O Virgin fair. Thou, Mother to both God and man, thy hopeful children stand to plead for thy good prayers for all our land, to keep it from all wrath and need. O loom of God, wherewith he made himself a coat of human flesh, thou mother and still yet a maid, thine ancient praise we sing afresh. Of old did Moses make a place, a tent of skins for God to dwell, but thou didst clothe with skin the grace of him that saves our life from hell. When we at last go to our rest, when death from strife shall set us free, oh, let it be thy tenderness that we, when we awake, shall see. Well, that's part of a much longer set of quatrains. Poetry ought to have rules, you know. It ought to have rhyme. And it ought to have meter. And then, when you do something clever, like break meter, to choose just exactly the right word that doesn't quite fit. It doesn't quite scan, but it's the word you cannot do without. It smacks of sincerity because you laid aside your artifice for that sake. Well, that preaches, doesn't it? Richard Hester of Hester's Pipes. He makes beautifully colored pipes. And the photograph at the end of this particular video will be of his pipes. We recently received 11. I had asked for 10, and he told me the 11th one was for me, and I could have what I liked. I picked the church warden, it appears in the picture, because it was the color of this wine, and I just felt like having another church warden. the grain is. He's careful to buy a very good grade of briar. He is careful to cut the blocks so that the grain determine the shape. And then he makes it wonderful colors. You'll see in the picture. Besides doing all of that, of course, he's a good and kind-hearted man, or we wouldn't sell his pipes. I'm picky. You know how we all feel about Ron Smith, and those who have had the good fortune to meet him feel the same way about Billy Sanders. They certainly feel that way about Manfred Hortig. Yep. If they're not good and good-hearted men, their work's not going in our store. I got a phone call once. People call the store trying to sell us things. And if they're unlucky, I'm the one who answers. And there was a young woman on the other end of the line. And she said, "Do you have an open mind?" And I said, "No." And she said, "Well," and then she stopped, because this was clearly not the answer she expected. And I said, "I'm careful what I put in my mind. If we're careful about what we eat, we ought to be careful about what we expose our minds to as well." And she said, "Oh, well, I don't suppose you'd be interested in selling our movies." And I said, "Are they the kind of movies I think they are?" And she said, "Probably." I said, "I see. Well, no, we wouldn't be interested, but I can do you a favor." She said, "What?" And I said, "I'm going to pray that you get a better job." She said, "Thank you." And you know, I'll bet she did get a better job. Now, this was so long ago that the phone still had a cord. Pornography cost money, and water was free. Now phones don't have cords. Pornography is free, and water costs money. What a stupid world this has become. Well, it's late, and as I said, my back's been paining me fiercely. I've been doing a lot of standing up, you know. It was Holy Week, and all of those services are over now until another year. And so I'm going to rest up between now and then, smoke some nice tobacco, eat some really good food. I'll try to be careful about controlling my appetite. And you, don't stay away so long, okay? It's good to talk to you. Good night.